Hello, New Zealand. I'm going to tell you why I didn't get the COVID-19 vaccine. And no, it's not because I'm an anti-vaxxer. I've had vaccines in the past, but it's basically just hard facts. I went to the facts. The first thing I asked myself when this virus game hit, the COVID show hit, was how dangerous is it? How much of a threat is it? Well, we knew very, very clearly, very, very quickly. Not immediately, but quickly, a little after the lockdowns. September 2021, we had 26 dead people from COVID, and their average age was around about 81 or 82. Okay, and they had almost all of them major comorbidities. What does that mean? It means that they didn't really die of COVID as such, they died of old age. As I like to say, the only reason why they died of COVID is because the flu didn't get to them first, which is pretty real. If the flu got to them, they probably would have been killed from that. This is natural, happens to all of us in the end. When our body breaks down and it gets weak, we can no longer fight off the pathogens that are everywhere. Your body right now is full of nasty bacteria, parasites, and there are coronaviruses, the flu, everything is all around you all the time. What we die of, before anything, is a body that can no longer put up the fight. No big deal. You've lived 80 years, 90 years, if you're lucky, maybe a bit more. There's no great tragedy in that. It's just the way it goes. On to the next life, maybe. Now, we had 26 deaths, okay, which were not primarily COVID deaths, but old age deaths, out of 2,500 known cases at the time. How many unknown? God, it could have been 100 times. We weren't testing back then. And most people just catch the bug like a flu, and even as Jacinda Ardern admitted, many people would have got the bug and would not have even known about it because they're so young, their immune systems are so strong that they would have kicked it to touch before it could have even given them much of a snivelly nose. It really is equitable to the seasonal flu, this bug. We all knew that. Okay, so that was all I needed to know that I was not going to get vaccinated. Not because I'm an anti-vaxxer, but because the type of vaccine that they wanted to introduce worked with a radically different function to a conventional vaccine. It used your body as the cells in your body as the machine to generate the spike protein to excite the immune response. That is completely different to a normal vaccine. Now, that in itself doesn't scare me. Why should it? It's just, a new technology that's introduced. What scares me is the fact that the vaccine had no short-term testing, let alone medium to long-term testing. Now, as any engineer will tell you, with any new intervention, any new complex system, and nothing is much more complex than the body, you have to wait for the surprises with a new thing that you introduce. It's just like the prototyping phase, and there are always surprises. Even Australia's top vaccinologist, Nikolai Petrovsky, said that. He said there are always surprises. You've got to wait for the medium to long term to find out what's going on with this new stuff, whether or not it's going to give everybody cancer, heart attacks, whatever, in the longer term. There is absolutely no way to know how good or bad, a new drug or new medical treatment is like this until you wait, and that's why it takes about 5 to 10 years to develop a new drug. Even after 5 to 10 years, with further long-term after that coming through, many drugs and therapeutical treatments get taken off the shelf because they prove to be too dangerous, not worth their cost. That's how hit and miss this game is, and that's how dependent we are on long-term testing. So look at the situation. They wanted me to get injected with this vaccine with virtually no testing. It's not just experimental, it's radically new and experimental for a bug that I knew for a fact was no different to the seasonal flu. And for me, myself, at the age of 46, 47 at the time, I'm 48 now, healthy and strong, quite healthy for my age. I do all the good things, just watch out a little bit with my sweet tooth. I hardly ever get sick. There's no way I'm touching that bloody vaccine. That's just crazy for me to do it. I'm better off just making sure I get my sun and exercise and my veggies and my vitamin C and rolling with the punches, just catching the bug normally as I will and developing natural immunity. Because there's absolutely no doubt about it, you cannot beat untampered with natural immunity. You won't find a single virologist or vaccinologist who would dare disagree with that. So I was totally cool to play that game, and I did. And when I did finally get COVID, Omicron, it was a nasty headache for about 12, 13, 14 hours. I was sort of dipping in and out of sleep because of it, because of the congestion. But then after that, it was just like 4 or 5 days of feeling physically tired. But still well, still sit down, enjoy eating things. I didn't lose my appetite or anything like that. Watch a bit of TV and, to be honest, enjoyed the time off work, the paid time off work. No regrets, not a single regret. But there's the other argument, there's the other demon behind there, isn't there? What about transmission? Is Andrew Atkin a nasty SOB because he's allowing himself to get the bug and pass it on to grandma? That's about the weakest argument in the universe. For a start, I think it's one hell of a tall order to ask me to take a giant risk. Well, it is really a giant risk with a brand new technology. So someone who's probably got poor life expectancy in any circumstance, maybe got 1 or 2 years to go, very vulnerable person, maybe with a very low quality of life if they're in a lot of pain and they're really coming to the end. It's a tall order to ask me to damage my life just for them, if they're going to basically die of the flu or whatever anyway soon. I don't think anyone should have to do that. I mean, if grandma's so terrified about catching the bug, she can quarantine herself and take measures on herself. She shouldn't be demanding, and I don't think they were, I'm just saying this out of principle, but she shouldn't be demanding that I have to all of a sudden, and the rest of society all of a sudden has to take this giant risk for her when she can ultimately quarantine herself if she's so worried about it. So it's not reasonable on those grounds. And then there's another thing. And this was also said very clearly. I remember watching the video of him by one of our epidemiologists, mainstream guys, because it's true. He stressed, and this is Professor Desmond Gorman, that ultimately everyone is going to see this virus. You can't stop a coronavirus. It will work its way through everyone. Okay, so you're not stopping the spread to grandma, you're just delaying the time period for when she eventually gets it. Why are we doing that? Well, the rationalization was, another very weak rationalization, to protect our intensive care units, to make sure we got enough beds if it turns into a real Spanish flu type pandemic and we can't house everyone, which we knew it wasn't very quickly. It's nothing like a Spanish flu type epidemic or Black Plague epidemic. One problem with that, the chances of me occupying an ICU from COVID are so small, it's just simply ridiculous. It's incredibly small. Again, it's like me catching the flu. What's the chance of me ending up in an ICU? Basically 0. So come on, that's a weak argument. And if it's really about the morality of protecting the ICU, then why was it legal for people to ride around on motorbikes? A vaccinated motorcyclist is way more of a threat of ending up in an ICU than an unvaccinated Andrew who gets around by more conventional means. So don't hand me the morality argument, because if I sincerely believed it was the right thing to do to go and get the vaccine to slow down the spread, to, for a little bit of time anyway, protect others, then I would have done it in a heartbeat. When it's truly rational, I don't mind sacrificing for the greater good. I know that. I don't need to prove that. So looking at the simple, straightforward academics of it, it was absolutely clear to me that from what I could see and understand, and I don't say this to be insulting to anyone, but because I know so many people were gaslighted and had so much social pressure and the mandates and everything like that, but for me, myself, it would have been the dumbest thing I could have ever done was take this silly risk with this vaccine that has gigantic, irrefutable question marks loaded into it. So that's why I didn't get the vaccine. I didn't follow the hype, I followed the facts. and it was basically the most stupid thing I could have done, so I didn't do it. And I have no regrets. And just to finish my little speech, I'll say I wish all those vulnerable people and grandmas and grandpas out there the very best of luck to them. But remember, when someone dies at the age of 82, 83 from either the flu or coronavirus or some other pathogen, we can salute them and celebrate a long life that they had. One day we'll all get there too. We're all going to die. Biologically speaking, anyway. And my message to you, Christopher Luxon, who thinks I'm an anti-vaxxer, and David Seymour, who think I'm river of filth, scum of the earth, please explain to me how my statement doesn't make sense and how I'm a creep and a fool and an idiot for thinking what I think. I feel like I'm almost robotically logical. Wouldn't you agree? I don't appreciate the insults, and I'm going to be honest with you, I won't forget them. Okay, have a nice day, y'all. Ciao.